The transport ship descended through the acidic clouds of Zerath 9, and General Theron Sol watched from the command deck as the last beacon from the surface finally went dark. 3,000 soldiers had landed on that cursed planet 6 months ago. Now only one signal remained, weak and intermittent, broadcasting from the extraction zone. Sergeant Kara Voss, the last living soul from Operation Reclamation. Theron's fingers drummed against the cold metal railing as the ship broke through the lower atmosphere. The planet below was a nightmare rendered in toxic greens and sulfuric yellows, a world that had broken every predictive model, every survival algorithm the Galactic Union had thrown at it. They had called it a challenging environment in the briefings. The politicians had called it strategically valuable because of the rare minerals in its crust. Kara Voss had another name for it, according to her last coherent transmission. Hell's Garden. The landing party found her at the edge of what used to be Forward Base Alpha. The base itself was gone, consumed by the planet's carnivorous vegetation, leaving only scorched earth and the skeletal remains of fortifications. She stood alone in a clearing she had burned herself, a circle of ash and death in an ocean of writhing, hungry life. Theron descended the ramp personally, against the protests of her security detail. The environmental suit felt suffocating, but she knew it was the only thing keeping the planet's atmosphere from dissolving her lungs. Kara stood in the center of the clearing, her armor scarred and dented, covered in substances that the suit's scanner couldn't even identify. Her helmet was off, exposing her face to the toxic air. She was breathing it, unfiltered, unprotected. "Sergeant Voss," Theron called out, her voice crackling through the external speakers. "We're here for extraction." Kara turned slowly, and Theron felt her breath catch. The woman's eyes had changed. They reflected the sickly light of Zerath 9 with an unnatural gleam, adapted somehow to the darkness and the poison. Her skin had taken on a weathered, almost translucent quality, revealing networks of veins that pulsed with something other than blood. "General," Kara said, her voice rough but clear, requiring no helmet comm system. "You sent 3,000 of us to this Deathworld. Did you know what it would cost?" Theron stepped forward carefully, aware of the weapon holstered at Kara's side. "We underestimated the threat level. The entire Union's scientific community failed to predict." "Failed?" Kara laughed, a sound that echoed wrong in the thick atmosphere. "You sent soldiers, General, humans, to a planet that eats everything, that moves, breathes poison that dissolves tissue, and hosts predators that make Earth's ancient dinosaurs look like house pets." She gestured to the jungle behind her, where things moved in the shadows, watching. "We didn't fail. We adapted." "Adapted?" Theron looked closer at the sergeant, at the way she moved with a predator's grace, at the subtle wrongness in her posture. "Kara, what happened to you?" Kara's smile was sharp, showing teeth that seemed just slightly too pointed. "The first week we lost 100 soldiers to the atmosphere alone. The second week, the jungle learned we were food. By the end of the first month we understood the truth." She stepped closer, and the security team raised their weapons nervously. "This isn't just a death world, General. It's a crucible. It doesn't just kill you. It changes you, breaks you down, and rebuilds you into something that can survive." "The others?" Theron asked quietly. "Dead. All of them." Kara's expression flickered with something that might have been grief. "But not before they taught me what I needed to know. Lieutenant Chen lasted 3 months, showed me how to eat the local flora without dying. Captain Rodriguez made it to month 4, figured out how to hunt the apex predators. Major Williams lasted until last week." She touched her chest, where her armor was stained with old blood. "She gave me her strength when the metamorphosis started." Theron felt cold despite the planet's humid heat. "Metamorphosis? The planet doesn't just kill, General, it tests. And if you're strong enough, if you're stubborn enough, if you're human enough, it changes you." Kara held up her hand, and Theron watched in horror as the fingers extended slightly, nails darkening into claws. "I breathe the poison now. I eat the predators. I've become what this world demanded I become to survive." "Then come home," Theron said, trying to keep her voice steady. "You've survived. The mission is over. We're evacuating. Evacuating. Kara's laugh was bitter. You're abandoning this world because it ate your army. But I'm not leaving, General. I can't. She gestured to herself. Whatever I am now, I'm not sure I can survive anywhere else. And more than that. She turned to look at the jungle, at the rustling, watching darkness. I'm not finished here. Finished, Kara. You're the only survivor. There's nothing left to accomplish. Wrong. Kara's eyes blazed with an intensity that made Theron step back. You sent 3,000 humans to die on a death world because you wanted its resources. You treated us like expendable tools. But we humans, General, we don't break the way you think we do. We bend, we adapt, we overcome. She turned back to face Theron fully. I survived because I refused to die. I survived because I'm human. And we're too stubborn to know when to quit. Theron stared at the woman who had been Sergeant Kara Voss, seeing now something both more and less than human. What will you do? What humans have always done. Kara smiled, and it was terrifying and beautiful at once. I'm going to conquer this death world, not with armies or technology, with time, patience, and human persistence. In 10 years, maybe 20, when your union comes back here looking for those minerals, you'll find me waiting. And this planet won't be a death world anymore. It'll be humanity's death world. The general watched as Kara turned and walked back toward the jungle, her form already blending with the shadows. The predators that had been watching pulled back, yielding to something they recognized as Apex. As the transport ship lifted, off. Theron looked down at the planet one last time, at the small clearing where one woman stood against an entire world. 3,000 soldiers had landed on Zerath 9. Only one had survived. But as Theron filed her report, she found herself changing the classification of the mission from catastrophic failure to something else entirely. Because humanity hadn't been defeated on that death world. Humanity had just been introduced to it. And the galaxy would eventually learn what that meant.